Howdy folks, welcome to my channel, Off Your Rocker. In this video I'm going to walk you through cutting up this beautiful piece of moss agate from Indonesia. I got this in a parcel recently from Prospector Paul. So good, I ordered a whole heap more. 2 more kilos coming soon, so I can cut this one up. And in this I'll show you the kind of process of working out where all the cracks and the faults are and kind of using them to my advantage. Hopefully we're going to get a whole heap of mini slabs. I'm hoping to cut across the grain here, and a few maybe long ones as well too. You'll see a little bit more when I backlight this with a torch, and I'll walk you through the process of marking out the faults for optimal cuts. So I'll just do a bit of a camera flip and swap. This will be a bit of a, I'll be doing the start of this at home, and then I'll be going into the Lapidary Club tonight to go through and use the saws, because I don't have one yet, and plan all this out. So I hope you enjoy. Okay, so when planning my cuts, one of the things I do is to use a gem torch. I'm really grateful I got this one from Skippy Gems at one of the gem shows around here. It has been one of the most used tools in my studio. I'm not getting sponsored by Skippy Gems, but that's a good plug. And yeah, some great guys from Sapphire, one of my favourite places in the world at the moment. But this is a really valuable tool, not just for like precious gems, but for also all sorts of lapidary stuff. And I'll show you what I mean. I'll get this a little bit darker so we get a bit more dramatic effect. But you can see here, there is a crack. So that crack right there, we need to cut away. It goes up, and it kicks off around here. Now it does a bend, and it comes around. Let's see if I can get a bit of it, and comes around down. Show me the light. There we go. See that it goes around and then comes up here, up, and then to this section here. Now this section here is a crack that goes all the way through the stone. You can see it there. You can see it. See the two different sections there. You can see where it's lit and where it's not lit. That is the fracture. And we'll see if it'll show it on this side. You can kind of see it on this side as well too, not as well. So it might only be just like a little hairline fracture on this side. Either way, if that ends up in any part of a cab, that's going to kind of cause you a little bit of grief. So there we go. Yeah, there's the halfway fracture. You can kind of see it a bit better there. See how the light doesn't quite penetrate all the way through, and there's like a line. That's the other side of that fracture. I'll put some lights back on. Now I can show you how to kind of read the stone, and I learnt this from Paul Opal. And what you're looking for, where is my pointer of destiny? I'll just use one of these dots. So when you see kind of like a very a sharp kind of angle, see that crevice there? That kind of, it's very sharp, very very like 90 degrees. That usually indicates a crack in the stone. You can see it kind of shears off a little bit there as well too. And there'll be visible little telltale signs on the face of the rock. So what we do from here is we get a trusty Sharpie pen. and I'll show you what happens next. So this takes a little bit of juggling and a little bit of fandoogling, but what we're going to do is just try and mark out these cracks very distinctly with our Sharpie. No affiliation, not sponsored by them, but gee whiz, do I go through a heap of them. Alright, so it travels along here as well too. These will just give us a bit of a guide when we're on the saw. This little bend here. I'm doing nice thick lines because this agate is kind of almost, yeah, it's kind of the same kind of tones. Now there's that big straight crack there. I'll try and get this in a way that you can see without getting things in the way. There we go, so that crack there, so I'll give that a big line. Does that go all the way through? Yeah, see, that's does go a ways through, but because it's on that side, we definitely want to get rid of it that side. It looks like it comes down here a little bit. About here, can we get a bit of a... looks like there's another... Oh, the more of that crack there. And that cuts off about there as well too. So a bit of ambidexterity going on. We'll mark that with the... Does that come round to this side? Oh, yes, it does. Oh, here we go. Okay, like I said, it takes a little bit of dexterity and a bit of juggling, but looks like that's our main big crack that I was looking for. So that cuts across there. It looks like it swoops up here on that fault line. About here. A little bit of a crack along here. It's not as predominant. Get that in focus. We'll have a look at that once we cut this in half. Try and get that to shine. You can just kind of travel the torch along the stone, and you can do this with just a normal LED torch. As you see, I haven't got the nip on. It looks like we've got a bit of crackle going on along here as well too. So the trick is to kind of find all the troublesome parts before you walk to the saw, and then that way you can optimize and strategize your cuts a lot better. See, my first cut I'd say would be this one here, along here. There's a few more little cracks there. And that's basically it. Get a bit more light on this. See what's going on. So yeah, like the first cut I'd probably will be along here, I'd say. And then that will kind of give me access to this side and this side. This might be a secondary cut. Again, I'll have a better idea once I kind of get into it. I mean, also that, I mean, this could be my second cut as well too, going along there. That's a good start. And then hopefully with this section I can go dunk, dunk, and then dunk, get a few little mini slabs out of it. And those mini slabs, you know, then I can make little pendants out of those and cabs out of those. I do have some more of this coming, so I'm happy to cut this one up, knowing that there's more on its way. If I wasn't getting any more of this, I'd probably hold on to this piece. I don't have much in the way of green. Yeah, this sort of greeny mossy stuff. It's very colourful, and I've been assured it polishes up brilliantly. So really looking forward to cutting and playing with this. You can see it's got some little fortification bands in there as well too. Now, that kind of the clear chalcedony in here too, that's got a bit of a blue tinge to it, so I think we're going to get some really nice contrasting colours with the cabs on these. So that's basically the start of how to plan out your cuts with a fractured stone. Stay tuned and we'll be going to the saw. Alright, so first cut down the guts. Okay, so it's a couple of days later, since I was at the club and did some cutting. I've broke up that big chunk of agate into these small ones, as you saw in the cutting part of the video. Some of it, like, I didn't cut it exactly according to plan because I didn't need to. That piece there seemed to be okay. Other pieces I had to kind of freestyle it a little bit. Once I cut into the agate, more fractures identified themselves, and just kind of had to cut around them or cut through them, and this is kind of what kind of happened in the end. Lots of really good sized pieces for pendants. We've got ones with really interesting features like that, which I have started a cab here, kind of encapsulating that. There's some really nice details on the inside this agate as well too. We'll give it a bit of a wet up so you can see what I'm talking about. Like, how nice is that? We'll get a bit of light happening. So yeah, some really cool fortification sections in there. There's also, like, I've kept some bits that are a little bit bigger. This is for maybe doing some carving with practice, because it seems to be stable enough to be able to do some of that. And other pieces would mostly be for cabs and pendants. And when we backlight it, you can kind of get an idea why. Look at that. Isn't that just magnificent? There's some beautiful greens in there. And the clarity, lots of like little wrigglies and mossy bits, and yeah, very, very cool. So I'll try and get it a bit more in focus. Maybe if I sidelight it, yeah, there we go. We get a little bit more that way. So yeah, you can see all the kind of phantom fortifications in it. Those wispy little green lines. It feels like when I've cut it that there's quartz through there as well too. So there'll be a bit of undercutting that'll be happening, and I'll just have to deal with that with some high grade diamond polish, I think. But for the most part, like, this came out really nice. I did avoid a lot of the fractures, but in some pieces it was unavoidable. But for the most part, we got a fair amount of cabs out of that one little piece. So it's like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, over 10 pieces there. That's, you know, a price at the right kind of price, you know, for your time for polishing them. If you're a business person, this wouldn't be a bad investment. And I'd say because of the color, it'd be pretty popular as well too. It seems to be the more vibrant the color, the more people kind of like it. And this was a cab that I started polishing at the club. I couldn't help myself. Didn't realize there was a crack in it again, right at the end. And I didn't really see that until I started cutting and polishing it. So I'll have to probably reshape this one and exclude that. But I did want to kind of get that really nice piece of fortification banding highlighted, which I think if I cut it down, that's going to centralize that a little bit more, so it'll add to the aesthetic of it. But that's basically it. Like, I've done pretty well. Like, there's not too many bits that have fractures through it now. Lots of material to work with. This one still has a little bit of a fracture. Now, that one was a self-healed one, so not too worried about that. When they start showing through like that one, See, that one I can trim down, but I've still got the whole meat and potatoes of this part of the stone to work with, and that was just an end cut so I could get some flushness, so I could square up a lot of cuts. Not like this one, but yeah, there's lots of really interesting pieces to work with. I mean, you could even, you know, if you're doing like jewelry pieces, you could cut it even smaller and have lots more little pieces instead of all these big pieces, which would add a little bit of interest, I'd say. Like even that kind of cross section there, you know, that looks okay. That's pretty cool. You know, if you had like maybe one going like that, that might be interesting as well too. But the aim of the game was to avoid a lot of the fractures and to cut a lot of the fractures out so that I could get workable pieces. And I think it'd be safe to say that I have done that. This one can go with another cut. You can see my textile line still there. But I've gotten it to a point where I could do that with my little trim saw or with Dremel even. But yeah, there's some really nice pieces that come up out of that big stone. So very, very happy. I hope this was a little bit helpful, and if nothing else, you got to look at some really cool rock. Right, look at that. How cool is that? I seem to be on a bit of a green kick at the moment. Lots of green stones coming my way. I've got this and the heap of chrysoprase coming. Look at that. How otherworldly. So, and praise. But, yeah, seem to be on a bit of a green stone kicker at the moment. That's really nice. Look at that. Look at that. Anyway, I better get back to working on some more cabs. Got the Maryborough Ag Show coming up soon. If you guys are in the area, come check it out. I should be there a couple of days during the show. If not, have a good Easter, everyone, and stay safe. Hooroo!